All right, so now let's talk about word problems involving fractions and division. So Dion has bought 36 pounds of dog food, gives his dog 3/4 of a pound each meal. For how many meals will the food last? Okay, well, let's think about it with easier numbers. What if it was, whoops, not that. What if it was like he has 10 pounds of dog food and he gives the dog 2 pounds per day or 2 pounds per meal? Well, you'd probably say, oh yeah, that's going to be 5 meals. How do you get 5? Well, you do 10 divided by 2. Okay. But it's not really 10 and it's not really 2. What it really is 36 and 3/4. So we do the exact same thing. We just chop up 36 pounds of dog food into 3/4 of a pound for each meal. Okay. Now, so we don't need that anymore. That was just to kind of illustrate using something more intuitive. Now we're dividing by a fraction, so how do we handle that? Well, we can make it multiplication if we flip the second fraction, take its reciprocal, as we call it. Okay. Now, what about that 36? Well, like we've seen in the past, we can just slap a 1 underneath that guy. And so now that it's multiplication, if we want to cancel, and it's available, we're allowed to. 3 divides into 3 once, and 3 divides into 36 12 times. Okay, so 12 times 4 on top is 48. And 1 times 1 on the bottom is 1. And this fraction simplifies to 48. And that is how these types of problems are done. Let's try one of these. We need to write 4 5/8 as an improper fraction. To do that, we start by multiplying 4 times 8, which is 32, and then we add the numerator, in this case 5. And 32 plus 5 is 37. So we get 37 on top, and the denominator never changes. It just stays 8. That is how it is done. Now, what if we wanted to do the reverse process and have something like 45 sevenths and convert that back to a mixed number? We would say, how many times does 7 divide into 45? Well, 7 divides into 45 6 times, because 7 times 6 is 42. That will leave us a remainder of 3. So we get 3/7. And that's how we do it. Now let's work on adding together a mixed number and another number, a fraction, the 1/3, and do it when there are not common denominators. So here is what we will do. First, we must determine the least common denominator. One denominator is 3 and the other is 8. Therefore, the smallest number that 3 and 8 divide into is 24. Because 3 and 8 have no common factors, nothing that divides into both of them except 1. 3 times 8 will be the least common denominator. Okay, so what do I need to multiply the first denominator by so that I get the LCD? I need to multiply it by 8. And if I do it to the bottom, I must do it to the top. For the second fraction, or the mixed number, 3 7/8, what do I need to multiply its denominator by? Clicked on something and it's not doing what I want. And that should do it. What do I need to multiply its denominator by? so that it becomes the least common denominator. I need to multiply it by 3. And if I multiply the bottom by 3, I need to do the top by 3 as well. Now I can rewrite both numbers. 8 times 1 is 8, and 8 times 3 is 24. For the mixed number, 7 times 3 is 21, and 8 times 3 is 24. And you'll notice that this whole number 3 did not get affected by this process. Now I am ready to combine the two numbers. So I'll get 8 24ths plus another 21 24ths, and that will come out to 29 24ths. However, we have a problem. The fractional part of the mixed number answer is now improper, or in other words, the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So I would say, or rather, I would break down 29 24ths the way I have learned to do in other problems. So I'll come off to the side and say 29 24ths is equal to what mixed number? Well, 24 divides into 29 once with a remainder, excuse me, with a remainder of 5. Therefore, I can rewrite my mixed number solution as 3 plus 1 over 5 24ths. Or I'm sorry, 1 and 5 24ths, which will be 4 and 5 24ths. And that is how it's done. Let's do another word problem. The amount of snowfall in October was 1/2 feet. The amount of snowfall in December was 4 3/4 feet. How much more snowfall was there in December? Question mark. Write your answer as a mixed number in simplest form. Why did I say the question mark? I don't know. Anyway, so here is how it goes. We want to know how much more there was in December than in October. Therefore, we will need to take the December amount and subtract from it the October amount. Now, I recognize that you can most likely do this one in your head, even though even though we don't have common denominators already. However, it would be good to practice. So here's what we will do. We first determine the least common denominator, and the smallest number that that the 4 and the 2 divide into is 4. So we need to rewrite both numbers as needed with that denominator. The first number already has a denominator of 4. Therefore, we do not need to rewrite it. The second number does not. It has a denominator of 2. So I'll multiply the bottom by 2 and there consequently the top by 2. So this gives me 4 3/4 minus 2/4. 3/4 minus 2/4 is 1/4. And so our final answer is 4 1/4. But because it's a word problem, I need to include the units. So 4 1/4 feet of snow. And that's how we do it. Now let's see how to multiply mixed numbers. In order to do that, we need to convert the mixed number to an improper fraction. In fact, anytime you are working with mixed numbers, it is okay to convert them to improper fractions, and it is often preferable to do so. So to do that, I would multiply 7 by 2 and get 14, and then add on 6. 14 plus 6 is 20. So this becomes 20/7 times 4/5. Now, with multiplication in between the two fractions, and both of them being just fractions, not mixed numbers, I can cancel if it's possible. Well, I know that 5 divides into 5 once, and 5 divides into 24 times. So when I multiply things out, I get 4 times 4 is 16 in the numerator, and 7 times 1 is 7 in the denominator. We would be done at this point, except it says to write our answer as a mixed number. 7 divides into 16 twice with a remainder of 2. Therefore, the answer is 2 2/7. Now let's see how to divide with mixed numbers. It's just about identical to multiplication. First, we rewrite the mixed numbers as improper fractions. So we get 2/5 divided by 9/4. And now we see that we are dividing by a fraction, and therefore to convert this to multiplication, we need to flip the second fraction or use its reciprocal. This problem is slightly tricky because it would appear back here when it's division that we could cancel a 2. However, we're not allowed to do that when it's division. We can only cancel when it's multiplication. And once this problem has multiplication, we see that there is nothing that we can cancel. So we will go straight to multiplying. 2 times 4 is 8, and 5 times 9 is 45. Since the answer is not an improper fraction, we're done. We will just leave it like that. So now we have a word problem involving what we've been practicing. Construction crew has just finished a road. The road is 15 kilometers long. If the crew worked for 4 1/6 days, how many kilometers of road did they build each day? Write your answer as a mixed number in simplest form. So we have 15 kilometers of road, and we want to break that up or divide that up by 4 1/6 days to figure out how much what happened each day. So once again, we would write the improper fraction, or I'm sorry, the mixed number as an improper fraction. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 is 25/6. And because we have division, we will rewrite that as multiplication by taking the reciprocal of the second fraction. And we can throw a 1 underneath the 15. Now that it's multiplication, we start looking for things we might cancel, and I see that we can divide 5 into the 15 and the 25. And 5 divides in 3 times and 5 times respectively. And so 3 times 6 is 18. 1 times 5 is 5. And now we have an improper fraction. And nobody wants those. So 5 divides into 18 3 times with a remainder of 3. And because it's a word problem, we need our units. And so the units would be kilometers per day. 3 3/5 kilometers per day. Not just kilometers, but kilometers per day. And that makes sense because we had the original problem was 15 kilometers divided by 4 1/6 days. And therefore the units for the solution would be kilometers over days or kilometers per day.